How's it going, everybody? I am doing a live stream today to talk about a New York Times piece that came out about Sargon of Akkad and Patreon and what's going on. Mainly because it looks like the New York Times piece it's fairly shoddy. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I know the writer who wrote the piece. It just seems that she didn't do an in-depth investigation, which is, I gotta admit, it's kind of weird considering the New York Times actually has photographs from inside Patreon headquarters. What I can say is that there's a few shocking statements made by Patreon. It would seem, the hyperbolic way to put it is that the CEO of Patreon is actually going after, he's decided to go to war with those of us who are angry over their treatment of certain creators and over their handling of this fiasco. So if you're just tuning in, let me make sure everything's up and running. Yes, okay, we're good. If you're just tuning in, you can use a super chat if you want to support me, and I will go through super chat questions to the best of my ability. But what I want to do today is talk about this piece in the New York Times, and I want to focus on a couple different statements. So here we can see a photograph of Patreon HQ, and it looks like this is the Trust and Safety team. Obviously, this is Jacqueline Hart, who is, I believe she's the head, yes, she's the head of Trust and Safety. And the first thing I want to do is, look, the story's fairly obvious. It talks about a lot of basic things, and I think some of it I wouldn't necessarily agree with, but I don't think it's entirely unfair. They call Sargon anti-feminist polemic Carl Benjamin. Yeah, look, I think you can hold certain opinions of him, and anti-feminist polemic is certainly not the worst. I actually think it's fair and critical. I don't know if I would call him, actually, no, I think that might be fairly apt. I mean, the way the Rubin and others, I don't know if this is actually Rubin's opinion, they call him a blue-collar intellectual, whatever you want to call him. I would say it's fair that Carl is maybe a polemicist. I don't know how else to describe him. He's a political commentator, might be the right way to put it, but this seems to be fairly critical. So they talk about all the basic stuff that we kind of understand, but there's a few things that I want to focus on. First of all, check out that. Isn't that cool looking? The little Patreon office with those big windows. I always wonder, like, when you have lobbies like this, because I've been to a bunch of these tech offices, why do you have this? Like, if this is the lobby, why need to put a wall there? Just put nothing there. I guess if they want to. So, let's see here. Where's the first comment that's actually really frustrating? I think it's after here. So she says, in the story, Nellie Bolus says, Mr. Benjamin did not respond to attempts to engage him in the reform process, Miss Hart said. His response to us when we told him about the reform process was to nitpick and say I was being anti-Nazi. Miss Hart said, you cannot say those words on our platform. It doesn't matter who you're directing them at. This may be one of the most rage-inducing things I have ever heard, and this sentence right here shows how duplicitous and evil Patreon is being in this whole circumstances, specifically Jacqueline Hart. Look at this. She said he was nitpicking. Okay, let me tell you something. The other day, Hassan Piker, who is far left, and Kyle Kalinske, a progressive, went on a stream together. Hassan actually defended Sargon while smack-talking him to a rather extreme degree. And I'm not saying defended him and that he was saying Sargon was a good person. No, by no means. He said Sargon was a bad person, but what he said was Patreon should not have banned him outright. They should have given him a warning and told him to change. And bravo, that's respectable. I completely agree with Hassan. I don't agree with Hassan's opinion on Sargon. And in his discussion with Kyle Kalinske, Kyle actually said Sargon was a good dude and that this was wrong because the context was actually clear. Look, I do not like the way Sargon framed his statement. That's fine. He understands that. He's an adult. He gets it. I think the way he said it to these people was bad. It was just not good. It was crude, it was crass, and in my opinion, ineffective. But the context is clear. Sargon, as we all know at this point, was trying to use their language to explain to them how they are as they describe other people in racist ways. The way she said it, first of all, nitpicking. No, even progressives recognize his context, even if they don't agree with it, so far. She then says, you cannot say those words on our platform. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. He didn't. Sargon didn't say them on your platform. Not only that, in the story from the New York Times, they just seem to get basic facts wrong. And look, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Nellie. I sent her an email because I've met her before. I know her. I believe she didn't work at Vice News. She worked there after me. So I think it's just an issue of her needing to you know, I think they should have waited on this story. But she says that Carl's defense was that he didn't post it to Patreon, he posted it to YouTube. No, Sargon didn't post it at all. Someone else posted it to their YouTube, not even Sargon's YouTube. This is a very, it's not even that complicated what happened. It's, so we'll stop here with this particular issue, because we can see that Jacqueline Hart is misleading the New York Times in order to defend themselves. I think it's fair to say that Jack Conte and Patreon at this point are deciding, instead of trying to solve the problem, they're doubling down for the second time and going after us directly. It's not an issue of saying, you know what, you want to know what I would say? I would say, listen, there's a question about context. We disagree, and unfortunately, it's put us at odds with many of these political commentators on the platform, and that's just where it's going to end up, and there's nothing we can really do about it. There you go. That's the I refuse to surrender cop-out. They don't even do that. They're doubling down. They're now lying. I don't necessarily say this is a lie, because she said you can't say those words on our platform. It doesn't matter who you're directing them at. Oh, okay. She's not saying that he did. She's saying you can't do it. And that's true. But you see what she's doing, trying to mislead the New York Times. And this quote is misleading to the average reader, who is now going to assume, well, actually, I take that back, because they say in the story it wasn't on Patreon, it was on YouTube, which is, it's not completely accurate, but it's still fair. It's still true. It wasn't on Patreon. You see what they try to do? Weasel words. This is what we call weasel words. But oh, does it get better. This it's really, really good. Where's the... So here's a statement from Jack Conte. And this was like Jack saying, you know what? This is Jack saying he doesn't care anymore and spitting in the face of the creators who are upset with Patreon. Those quitting Patreon in solidarity with Mr. Benjamin may have other motives behind their sudden outrage, Mr. Conte said. As content creators using the site grow more famous and their income more significant, the 5% cut that Patreon takes of their donations may have begun to seem cumbersome, he said. Other large creators are joining the rebellion. And this is a link to Sword and Scale, who's the #5 podcast. So let me get this straight. Oh, and it gets better, but let me get this straight right now. Jack Conte told the New York Times he thinks that people like us, maybe not me, I don't have the biggest channel, but maybe Dave Rubin and Jordan Peterson and Sword and Scale are upset that they're giving 5% of their income to Patreon. Is that a joke? I'm down over $5,300 per month. You think I chose to do that? That is insane. This is Jack saying he knows full well that's not true. He's just saying, you know what? I'm going to smear them back because he is a bad person. Plain and simple. He promised a warning system. They never implemented it. Oh, they claimed that I'm at Christian. Oh, but it's a tier 1 and a tier 2 circumstance. No, BS. When Hassan Piker of the Young Turks, who is far left, who advocates for Antifa and all that, says no, Sargon should have gotten a warning, Patreon is in the wrong. Even far left commentators, progressive commentators, are saying the same thing as the rest of us. So you think, Jack, that because I was losing 5% to your service, I decided just to have about 1,000 patrons cancel? No. When patrons started canceling, I had no choice but to set up alternatives. Otherwise, I just straight lose the money. I run a business, okay, where I produce content. I work every day. I've produced for the past 2 days 5 videos per day, and I'm expecting to do 5 videos per day from this point forward, and I'm actually building a mobile studio, so I'm expanding. The last thing I'm concerned about is that one of my business services I pay a fee to in order to process payments for me in a timely manner and an effective way for the rest of my customers, my patrons. I use customer not in the sense that you guys are customers, but I'm trying to use like a business lingo in this one. The point is, Patreon is effective because you can sign up and everyone is there. So if you want to give $1 to Ruben, $1 to me, and $1 to Sargon, it's all one service. It's easy to do. It's hard to have people go to other platforms. So what happened after Lauren Southern got banned, it was actually difficult. A lot of people said they wouldn't cancel because they support too many people and don't want to set up something on a different platform. And I said, okay, well, here's the thing. Fool me once, shame on, Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. When Jack Conte banned Lauren Southern, it was actually kind of questionable because Lauren did get in a boat and go to the Mediterranean and cross the line from doing journalism and commentary into direct action. And I said, you know what, man, I really don't agree with what she was doing. I certainly think the narrative around these ships was wrong. I actually did videos about this. UNHCR said they're not refugees, they're migrants, but it's complicated. He banned her, and I said, that's still scary, whether or not you agree with Lauren Southern, because he terminated her income like that. She didn't know. If he said, don't do this, then she would have had a choice. He said there would be a warning system. Well, Sargon got deleted late at night without warning. For him, it was overnight. He was sleeping. That says to me that the same thing can happen. Now, they claim, you know, look, Sargon did use these words in a rather disparaging way that I don't agree with, but I understand the context. As George Carlin said, it's the context that matters, because the words in and of themselves don't mean anything. And while Sargon certainly danced the line, all they had to do was this. Hey, Sargon, don't do that again. He'd be like, okay, we're done. But no, this is what Patreon does. So what Jack's logic here is that I was willing to sacrifice 70, 80, 90% of my income over a 5% fee. No, dude, please. I pay fees to all of the services I use. I buy products and I have business expenses. I don't go around complaining that last-minute plane tickets to big breaking news stories is too expensive, so I'm not going to do it anymore. No, it just eats at my costs and I save less money. But here's where it gets really good. Quote, you can use a press debacle like this to drum up your community and rile people and get them to support a cause, Conte said. We welcome competition. Oh, is that so, you welcome competition? Well, look, you want to claim now that we are sacrificing our monthly income, our subscriptions from our patrons, because we're trying to get support? How does that make sense? We want to drum up our community to get support for a cause, but they're leaving the platform. We're losing money. What kind of bizarro world is this where you think that is getting a support? If I had my choice, Patreon would apologize, reinstate Sargon, guarantee things to the community, and I can keep using the service because, admittedly, the Patreon service, it's much better than basically anything else. It is. Because they have everything charged the first of the month, and that's extremely important for paying bills and knowing how much is coming in. And it makes it easier to connect with other creators, and the ranking system actually is pretty good too. But look at this. Patreon was built as an alternative to YouTube demonetization. It was a place where you could be safe if YouTube was saying you're not ad-friendly. Well, Patreon's rules are worse now, and even YouTube has a strike system. Yes, you post a bad video, and you get a strike on YouTube. Here's the funny part. The video that Sargon was in, where he used these words, didn't even receive a strike. It's not even restricted. It's not even in a limited state. It's just a regular video that's allowed to remain up because even YouTube's like, yeah, there's a difference. But Patreon is insane. And this just shows that they have lost the plot. This is an emotional reaction against us who have a legitimate grievance. You want to know what my problem is? I don't want to defend what Sargon says. I'll say this. For the millionth time, I get the context. Don't like that he did it. Fine. It's plain and simple. Forgiveness, please. The point is, my Patreon account is down over $5,000 because of what they did. They didn't just ban Sargon. They banned all of his followers on Patreon, and they banned us, in a sense. Why am I affected by something they decided to do? That should not be the case. Why can't they do warning, suspension, termination? 3 strikes, like YouTube. The first time you do something wrong, we give you a warning, we tell you what you did wrong and how you can never do it again. The second time you do something wrong, they say, we will not process payments for the next month because you violated these rules. After this, if we find another violation, your account will be terminated. And then you can tell your fans, like, hey man, Patreon's not going to process this month, you got to go somewhere else. No. These are the main points of the story that I want to bring up. Obviously, there's there's issues with the story, sure. It's just a quick write-up. I mean, they got a photographer to go in. They probably, I think Nellie might live in San Francisco, so maybe she went in and just did this. Oh no, it says Jim McCauley for the New York Times. So it's clear that this is an entirely one-sided story. They didn't get comments from many people. They didn't get a comment from Carl Benjamin, from Sargon. And it shows that with Jack Conte saying this, this is is this Jack's first public statement on the issue? Him saying, oh, they're just trying to drum up support, and they're just mad that they pay us 5%. That's insane, right? Imagine a trucker being like, wow, the more I drive, gas is getting sure expensive. I don't want to use gas anymore. It's like, okay, well, what are you going to use, right? Subscribestar, as my understanding, actually takes more money. And PayPal isn't a service that is structured the way Patreon is. Patreon is better for posting, for providing tier access to certain content. Yeah, they don't have these things. So what is his bit? Jack's bit is that people don't want to pay a fee to his service. Okay, I'll tell you what, Jack. You want a solution to this problem? Let's solve this problem. You think the big creators don't want to pay a 5% cut? Flat rate. 5% or $1,000, whichever comes first. How about that? Because I'm sure a lot of people, like some of the bigger podcasts making 50 grand per month, would probably agree with that. If you think people are leaving because 5% is too high, why don't you put a cap on it? Take less money from your creators, if that's the case. All right, well, I haven't been paying attention to Super Chats, and I know there's a bunch in here, so let's start going through the Super Chats here now, because otherwise I'm just going to be ranting angrily for the whole time. Milky Mantit says, Merry Christmas from Australia, Tim. Going to be that guy to remind people if they can donate blood this Christmas. It's the greatest gift to give. Randall Warren, thanks for the Super Chat. Working to be self-sufficient says, ho, 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 and Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody. I am here alone with just a cat for Christmas. Because it's a complicated story, but yeah, basically I choose to work instead of taking time off and then, you know, heading to Chicago to see family, because there's a lot of issues involved. I'm trying to get this truck built. I've got a call coming up, the van. I've got a call coming up in a couple days with a company that's going to construct this mobile news van, and that's extremely important, so that's my priority, and this one Christmas, we'll see what happens. Reginald McIntosh says, Merry Christmas, Tim. I read the article and it reeks of faux, non-biased reporting. The New York Times is just a mouthpiece running defense for Silicon Valley IMO. Keep up the solid reporting. Well, I do want to make one point. I'm pretty sure Sarah Jong works for the New York Times tech editorial. I could be wrong, but I believe she works on tech. So this is that same field, and you can understand who works in this department, you know, so you know where this is going. Coco Furkash says, Merry Christmas from Colorado. Another good Tim rant. Hey, appreciate the super chat. Alan McGowan says, Merry Christmas, Tim. All I want for Christmas is Patreon going bankrupt. I don't want Patreon going bankrupt. Not at all. I'm just angry because they've negatively impacted a swath of creators, and they've essentially put a knife in our backs. But you know what? At the same time, I'm frustrated with all the things they've done. But here's the thing: they did it after Lauren Southern promised to make changes. Personally, to me, they said they make changes. They didn't do it. Now I'm pissed. It's a personal slight against me, in my opinion. Then you see what Jack says? Like we're trying to do this on purpose to generate support? No. No, not at all. I have other things to worry about than my Patreon dropping by $5,000 per month. I'm trying to work on a project here. I want you to handle Patreon and the monthly subscriptions and let me do my work. You payment processor, me content creator. You do you thing, I do my thing. I don't want to deal with this. Not at all. Bombchew says, when are they going to start banning rappers who use the N-word? Actually, in the UK, there was a woman who got in trouble over it. Another thing I want to point out, too, is it's really funny that there's a couple podcasts that keep posting my videos and commenting, acting like I'm going to get them banned. And I'm like, dude, first of all, I have not named any of these podcasts save Chapo Trap House because Sargon already named them over that one particular instance. In response to this, some like left-wing activists started saying, is that really the only evidence you have against Chapo, that he was drunk and he made some statement? And I'm like, no, there's a lot more. Like, you would think that any podcast running this long, even including, well, probably not including mine because mine's like pretty stiff, but these opinion shows where they rant and get angry about politics, maybe like my second channel or my live streams, there is something questionable in them. Chapo more so than something like mine because, admittedly, I'm fairly tepid and people often call me milquetoast. But maybe. The point I'm making is, yes, I have seen other things that are questionable from these podcasts, and because of this, their fans are flagging them, okay? I never named any of these podcasts. I said there's a podcast that did X, there's a podcast that did Y, and another that did Z. Why aren't they being stopped? If Patreon claims they oppose hate speech, if you look where Jacqueline Hart said you cannot say these words on our platform, well, that's a lie because you can. Go okay, if you search for that specific N-word on Patreon in quotes, you find a post literally talking about how they believe white people are superior using racial slurs. And it's been up for, what, 2 weeks now and they haven't taken it down? Maybe they just can't figure out how to press the delete button on their end. They can't figure out how to delete a post. Is that it? No. The answer is, although it's technically not allowed, they don't ban people who do it, so actions speak louder than words. It is allowed. They claim it isn't, but they certainly do allow this stuff from massive podcasts. They are not going to do anything about it. Jack would rather accuse us accuse us of sacrificing our income on purpose, as if I can control who donates to my Patreon, accuse us of doing this to drum up support because we're angry about fees, instead of acknowledging he has a serious problem on his platform, and he's either going to have to ban several of the top podcasts, which equals several $100,000 per month, or he's going to be an evil, evil prick. And that's what he is doing. I really, you know what I think? I think it's, I don't want to necessarily call it the banality of evil. I'm sure he thinks he's a righteous man who's doing the right thing to protect people. But look at this. You cannot say those words on our platform. Okay, why are they still there? Why are the top podcasts saying those things, even mocking you? There's one podcast mocking Patreon, laughing about it, using these slurs, because they don't think they'll be banned. Okay, sure. I believe you, Patreon. 2 weeks later, you do nothing about it. I'll tell you why they don't do anything about it. Patreon right now is reeling from the bad PR. Their numbers are up. They're making money. But they got to be careful how they navigate this, because the cascade effect is real. They ban Sargon, then I lose the majority of my income, a bunch of my subscription income. Then then you get Dave Rubin, who's taking a hit from this. Jordan Peterson taking a hit from this. Even apolitical people are commenting. I don't know if David Pakman was talking about this specifically, but he made reference to people not wanting to support him on Patreon over certain events. Even Linus Tech Tips, who's got like millions of subs, mentioned something about needing an alternative to Patreon over some controversies that are going on. This matters, and people, the press can bubble over into something dangerous. This is why, in my opinion, they won't ban the racial slurs, they won't ban the white supremacy. There's a guy who's got a fund, he's literally raising money, pushing anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. And like, you know, Jewish question stuff. Yeah, it's on there. They don't get rid of it. Okay? I think the reason is, if they start banning these pages now, the press won't go away. They have decided their principles be damned. Again, in my opinion. And so they're allowing all of these pages to remain up, hopefully, that the press will die down and they can keep making that sweet, sweet green. And then you can look at what Jack Conte says, and this is why I say he's being evil. Because he's going after us. Patreon took action that stripped many of us of a decent amount of our monthly income. And Jack's response is, well, they're just trying to get support. Really? You think that I'm going to be able to keep functioning when my income dries up? The goal of Patreon is to provide an emergency safety net. If, you know, a deplatforming happens, something bad happens, you have this this space where people are essentially saying, I've got your back. If my YouTube gets banned, if I get live streaming stripped, I need an alternative where I can be like, hey, I can still work through the storm. There are certain creators who get you know, a week suspension or a 2-week suspension. Well, that's what you need Patreon for. Jack is saying that we just want attention and support. No, I'd much prefer to have a safe safety net from fans who support my work. Jack, you're not the one giving us money. You're not. It's our fans. You've created a platform to facilitate the exchange of cash from one person to another in a timely fashion. But you've injected in between that process your politics. And you know what? I'm fine with agreeing to your rules if it means you will provide me a service. That's how business works. I say, hey, Jack, here's what I need. You say, here's what I'll offer you, but you can't do these things. I'll be like, all right, deal. But here's what happens. Your rules are nebulous. You told me specifically that you knew the rules weren't clear. Now, admittedly, the last thing I said to Jack was I appreciate this communication because it's something most companies won't do. But the problem is he stops talking. Jacqueline Hart starts stepping in and giving us this double-speak nonsense. Look what she said. She lies in this piece. You can't say those words on our platform? Oh, excuse me then. Why do they still exist on your platform? She said it doesn't matter who you're directing them at. And this is creating the idea, based on the context, that Sargon said these words on their platform when he didn't. So let me get this clear, okay? You allow these words to exist on your platform for weeks. Nothing's done about them. And I'll say this too, without saying too much, I can confirm Patreon knows full well they have rule breakers on their platform. I know for a fact, 100%, and they don't do anything about it. They don't. So then they want to point it at us. Let me get back to reading the super chats, because otherwise, hopefully it's not going to jump me ahead like it usually does. The Buzz CJC says the only way Patreon saves itself is fire that woman and try to actually fix things instead of quadrupling down when they're wrong. No, Patreon's doing fine. It's just it's an issue of Patreon has become one of these Silicon Valley giants. They're worth $450 million valuation. They're bringing in something like, the visible numbers we can see is like 12 million per month. But keep in mind, Dave Rubin, me, Peterson, and many others, we keep those numbers private, okay? That means the public numbers of 12 million, it's probably much higher than that because some of the top podcasts don't show how much they're bringing in. They're going to be fine. Nate says, hey, Tim, appreciate your content in regards to the work you want for your van. Take it to a semi or RV shop. Some of the features you mentioned are standard in those vehicles. I've got to do a complete, it's a bare skeleton, and it's got to have a bunch of work done that's specific, and there are companies that specifically do it, so that's what I'm talking to. Sergeant Buck says, happy Crimbus, Tim. Conte is a ridiculous, irresponsible CEO for abdicating the values and standards of his company to the trust and safety team and kicking his customers in the teeth. He may as well work for EA, I think you mean. Yeah, this is fascinating. This statement from Jack about how we're apparently just doing this to drum up support it reeks so much of EA's if you don't like it, don't buy it comment. It's like, oh, okay. So you have pissed off people who support me and any others to the point where they're leaving. I try setting up Subscribestar, okay? I don't work with Sargon. I disagree with a lot of the things he says, and I disagree with what he said there. I have nothing to do with his body of work. I just happen to know the guy. Why is my income being put in jeopardy because of your actions, your heavy-handed nature? That's not fair to any of us. And then for you to come out and claim that we're just mad about fees is an absolute kick in the teeth. That's just wrong, man. And it's like, what did I do? What did I do? I even talked to him last year, and after what he did with Lauren, I said, I'm willing to forgive and keep using the service. And many people got mad and said, no, dude, you shouldn't do this after Lauren. And I'm like, look, man, I don't agree with Lauren's politics. I don't agree with what you did in the Mediterranean. And I'm just concerned that they don't terminate my income at a moment's notice. So here's what happens. They banned Sargon without warning. They said they wouldn't do that, okay? And what happens is they effectively banned me as well. Sure, I still function on the platform, but I have no choice now but to direct everyone to other platforms because 1,000+ people, I'm getting messages all the time from people saying, I'm out, I won't do this. And I have not gotten all of those people back, okay? You have to imagine, I have sent a mass email trying to get all these people. I can't. Many of these people will like watch my YouTube videos, they subscribe to Patreon, and they never send me a message or anything. I was like, hey, I like this guy, I'll subscribe. When they get mad at Patreon, they cancel, they never send me a word. I get lists saying people like, oh, because of Sargon, I'm quitting. And then I never hear from them again. I lose that support. So Patreon needs to understand this isn't Twitter. This isn't YouTube. We're not talking about someone posting content. We're talking about you negatively impacting the lifeblood of many creators' line of work. And it just seems like you really, really don't care. These are like, I'm going to say it again, man. This statement from Hart, it's so interesting how she talked to Matt Christensen, how she spoke to me on the phone, the things she says about how she cares so much, and then what does she do? He was nitpicking. You can't say those things on our platform, even though they allow tons of other people to do it. It doesn't matter who you're directing them at, except Sargon didn't say it on the platform. This to me this is evil. This is literal evil. Willful misinformation, duplicitous nature, double standards. I would love for Jacqueline to respond and tell me why it is you allow these things on your platform. Because she told Matt she knew about it, and Matt said, well, it's been a week, when are you going to get rid of it? They didn't. They didn't. And it's like I said, it's probably because they want the PR storm to die down. And then after that, they have no reason to take it down. But a responsible company would take it down. And they talk about wanting the human element in how they police their users. No, they want the perception of empathy. But in reality, they just don't care. They've become too big. They're not going anywhere. Wealthy, successful, they're too big to fail at this point, and they're essentially guarded by the other CEOs they're friends with. At least when Jack Conte says the CEOs kind of get together and talk about this stuff, oh, sure, yeah, your buddies are going to protect your ass. So you're making more than enough money to negatively impact people and damage the livelihoods of individuals. And that's fine to you. They just don't care. They do not care. They don't. Do you think any of these people understand what it's like to be poor? Do you think any of these people understand what it's like to not know if you're going to have income next month? Jack Conte, I can only assume he's as rich as they come at this point, being the founder of a $450 million company and the CEO. I can only assume that Jacqueline Hart, with her dedicated job at this company, she knows she has a salary. She probably has a contract with severance, provision or something. But the rest of us are crossing our fingers and hoping the time doesn't come when you say, you know what? Even though we aren't the ones giving you money, we're going to take it away. Imagine this. Imagine you work for yourself. Yet somehow, you still have a boss who can terminate your income even though your customers, the people who fund your business, want to keep funding you. That is probably the scariest thing about what Patreon is. They've effectively become a nanny figure, injecting themselves in between you and your customers. And that truly is terrifying. Let's read some more of these. SpongeBob wants me to grow my beard out and shave my head and challenge Jack to a fist fight. No, I'll say this. I don't hate Jack, not the least bit. I actually have a tremendous amount of respect for him DMing me on Twitter and saying the things he said. I now feel that he was being, that the company is being rather duplicitous, and I didn't want to publish the statement from him, you know, when I asked him what happened, but when they put out these public statements saying like, oh no, the rules are this, you can't do this, and I'm like, but Jack told me otherwise, okay? You want to issue a public statement to manipulate people, I'm going to show people what you are saying, okay? And not only that, I mean, whatever, let's read more. JP McGlone says, hi Tim, I'm a seasoned iOS dev, and if you're moving into the mobile space, I'd love to get involved, maybe we can chat. Also, I used to work with many of the engineers at Patreon. They're very elect. Well, of course they are. It's San Francisco. Oh, man, it just jumped me again. I hate when that happens. Let's see if I can find where I was. The super chat thing just randomly jumps, and then it's like, okay. Max M. Bacon says, rare. Thanks for the super chat. Archim Megiris Sancti. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood. I don't know what that is, so I can't read it, unfortunately, because, you know, you never know. I don't want to get PewDiePie'd here. Aaron Richards says, Merry Christmas, Tim. Thanks for keeping us informed. And for all the Angry Tim videos on the Patreon debacle. Well, yeah, because I lost money, you know. The Buzz CJC says, Angry Tim, Epic Tim. Appreciate it. Anonymous says, Tim Pool 2024, never running for office. Mark Quad says, Jack and his term of service trust and safety team are economic terrorists. No, I think, based on the statements they gave to the New York Times, they're just generally bad people. They're extremely selfish, self-centered, self-righteous, and that's why, to me, evil is reckless abandon, selfishness with reckless abandon. They don't care about anyone around them. They don't care about other people. They don't care about the damage they inflict on those who had nothing to do with Sargon. They don't care. They don't care about principles. Here, it's like I mentioned in the other video. They say, oh, but some people don't want to be associated with this idea of free speech. Okay, that's insane because their top podcasts regularly mock minorities. And they know it. It's extremely offensive stuff. One of them had a whole segment dedicated to laughing about how Asians eat their pets while doing an Asian accent. Do you think I appreciate that? Do you think I think that's funny? I don't. But look, I'm not the one advocating for the removal of these people, and that's why they don't care. Because the people who are targeting Sargon, whatever they are, alt-right, whatever, libertarian, the point is, there are angry activists who are disingenuous, who target specific individuals they have beef with, and that causes a negative impact for me. Why am I losing income because Sargon got into a fight with somebody? Are you nuts? You're going to claim this is about hate speech. We know it's not because all of the way bigger podcasts literally engage in hate speech. It is insane. I can't tell you how angry it makes me. Dougie says, any thoughts on the tanking economy? What do we have, like a recession every decade? So, you know, I don't know. I buy gold? I have no idea. Buy Bitcoin? Jay Griff says, screw Patreon. Love your content, Tim. Brendan Campbell says, thanks for covering all of this, Tim. Well, look, I'm directly involved in what's happening. I'm personally impacted by this, so, you know, it is what it is. Flying Falcon says, a cat? At least you got some LOL. What, a cat? The cat is very cute, but gosh darn it, is that cat annoying. Just walking around yelling all the time. She yells all the time. Play Keyforge, Tim. It's a great new card game, super casual. Merry Christmas from Denver from Max and Bacon. Maximin and Cheese says, you should collab with the van life type channels for your van. They could probably help you out. I've reached out to some. I've even offered to pay for like a consulting call for like general knowledge and like a one page about like best practices, and none of them get back to me. But I am fully planning on doing probably maybe for Subverse, maybe for a different channel. But once I'm on the road, it's going to be main channel 4 p.m. video, 4 videos on the second channel from 6 to 7, and then here's the best part. A vlog probably first thing in the morning from the day before on the ground from the van and who we're talking to and what we're doing. Yes, it's a magically huge workload and I'm looking forward to it. Cormoran says, it's like Patreon looked at the Bethesda's handling of Fallout 76 and went, yeah, happy Christmas, Tim. Thank you. Dave says, Is that horrifically messy office at the start of your stream Patreon? If so, holy cow, how is anything done there? Rodzilla says, take the red pill, Tim. Do it. Do it. You will feel better, promise. I don't even know what that means, right? Because, like, my policy positions are social liberal. That's fine. You know, and it's funny when David Pakman gets targeted by these regressive leftists, and he says it's a small group, but man, are they bad. I'm like, you know what, man, you want to call it a small group? Sure, but Kirsten Gillibrand tweeted the future is intersectional. Intersectionality is the anti-white male, you know, like, identitarianism. So I don't think it's that small when contenders for 2020, potentially, are claiming intersectionality is the future. Identitarianism is here, plain and simple. Anonymous says, I love Jack Enoff. Not, you know, whatever. Ben C says, do you think Patreon will ban the top creators because they might bring some controversy to the platform if that happens? No. They're going to wait for the PR to die down. Because, look, the New York Times didn't even investigate. I could give the New York Times tons of evidence of of how Patreon is supporting massive podcasts that, even now, are producing what constitutes hate speech in their mind, and according to their terms. The New York Times didn't care. You know, I don't know. The New York Times did a really quick piece. I'll say this, though. Plain and simple, I really, really respect and appreciate the piece the New York Times did. My beef is not with the New York Times. My issue is with the statements given to the Times by Patreon. Patreon, in my opinion, is at fault here. The New York Times, in my opinion, while the story could have been better, you know, I can't expect Nelly or anyone at the New York Times to know everything about what happened and know who most of these people are. So that's fine. You know, I think they did a fairly decent job. The article's not bad. But you have to realize the New York Times covering the story is very good for getting awareness to what's going on, even if Patreon wants to put out these misleading statements. Fine. New York Times writes about this, and now we're probably going to see many more people write about it. And this is more bad PR for Patreon. Even if when they give these people these statements, it's not good for them in the long run. Josiah Magnuson says, just so you know, for future reference, advocating for violence is not necessarily illegal, as you have said it is. Read the holding of Brandenburg, Ohio. Well, to clarify on that, I'm talking about incitement to violence, like telling people to go do things, not defending those who have been violent in the past. Adam Brooks says, oh, it just jumped me again. I can't. Adam Brooks says, is MasterCard behind this, like how they were behind Robert Spencer getting banned? I don't believe that's true, because when that happened, Patreon said it was MasterCard. Now, it's possible MasterCard and other people said, don't ever accuse us of this again. And so Patreon is saying, no, it's our decision. I don't see that to be the case. I don't see Patreon taking the heat for something someone else is doing. When Robert Spencer got banned, they said, hey, he was banned by MasterCard, not us. All right. Bill Mullen says, maybe a weekly live stream and Super Chats will make up for the loss of Patreon support. It doesn't. While the money made from Super Chats, it's actually amazing. Like, you guys can actually just look to see how much come in. I really appreciate it. I think the last time I did a stream, it was like $1,500 in 1 hour. That's incredible. But what happens is, there was a point where I was doing streams like twice a week. You can't assume people are going to be able to spend all of that money every single time, so there's a diminishing return. And eventually, the live streams are bringing in like $30. So periodic live streams make sense. Weekly live streams probably don't. In terms of Super Chat, right? The way, I'm not saying like I only do Super Chats, I only do live streams because I'm going to make a ton of money. No, by no means. Just that trying to make up for Patreon by doing Super Chats won't really cut it. And for the most part, live streams, I was trying to do scheduled live streams, and I decided it's probably better to do live streams as they're needed. Because, for one thing, all of the breaking news I've always done on the ground has always been something happened, here's a live stream. And when I try doing, like, here's a general live stream, I want to talk about stuff, they tend not to do that well. And it's just increasing my workload, stressing me out, you know, tiring me out. And it's not as effective as just getting the live stream up when something's breaking and important. So that's what I kind of limit it to. But I do think it's going to take longer than I expected to get the van done. Because the guy I was originally talking to, I guess he didn't get back to me, and now there's a company, there's a big wait list. We'll see what happens. I might just hire a general contractor and just wing it. But once I'm on the road, it's gonna be you know, bonkers. I'm gonna be producing. I'll say this: Casey Neistat produced a vlog every single day. All right, it was like a 10-minute vlog every single day. He still kind of does it. And these vloggers talk about how difficult it is to do daily videos. All right. So far in the past 2 days, I've done 5 videos per day. For the past year plus 2 years now. Just about 2 years. I have made one video every single day. So it was very vloggy in the beginning, and it slowly became more and more in-studio commentary. And then I moved my more cultural opinion commentary to my second channel, where in June-ish, end of June, I started doing 3 commentary opinion videos, straight opinion, and 1 more news analysis opinion type video for my main channel. So I've been producing 4 videos per day for about 6 months now, and in 2 months I am now going to be producing 5 videos per day, plus in a few months, once the van is up, it'll be 5 videos and a vlog. So I will be doing a daily 10-minute vlog, plus I will be doing 1 news analysis and 4 commentary videos. I have too much energy. And you know what, man? I've been sleeping. I sleep like 6 hours a night. I should probably sleep more. But, you know, I sleep 6 hours per night, not because I get to bed late. Like, it's not because I'm like forced to stay awake working. I finish work, I stay up until I'm tired, I go to sleep, I wake up every morning at like 6:45, I fall asleep probably around like 12:30 or something, because I fall asleep watching Futurama and other cartoons, relaxing, and it's good to like, you know, Futurama, Family Guy, and American Dad, love those shows, and it acts as a kind of like, what's the right way to describe it? It's like a cleansing charcoal filtration system for all the nonsensical, insane politics throughout the day. And then I just stare at the screen and look at, you know, like an alien, you know, dressed like a safari guy and a CIA agent, and it's just very, very, I love American Dad. It's like one of my favorite shows. Bartimo says, Merry Christmas, Tim. Thank you for your hard work. Appreciate it. Missy Ann says, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to everybody, too. And Happy Hanukkah and Festivus and Kwanzaa and whatever else it is. I think it's really funny that people get mad about Merry Christmas, like the Happy Holidays push. For one thing, I really don't care if you say Happy Holidays or Merry Christmas, but I think it's like, Happy Holidays to me is just not, like if you're celebrating Hanukkah, Happy Hanukkah. You know, if you're celebrating Christmas, Merry Christmas. So if I say like, you know, hey, what are you guys celebrating? It's like, oh, Hanukkah, oh, Happy Hanukkah, man. What are you doing Christmas? Oh, Merry Christmas. Like, I don't know. I just think it's silly anyway. I don't think anyone's really mad about it. I think it's just TV. Classical Positioning says, smells to me like Jack Conte probably pocketed a huge payout to let these Silicon Valley parasites infest the platform. You see how suddenly we've got mainstream figures on it? Diversity. It's just they're a victim of their own success, in my opinion. Speak with distinction. I'm an actor-singer who was looking forward to sharing work with the world via Patreon, but it's now clear that it's run by scumbags and liars. And I'm a New Yorker. I know scumbags when I can see them. Helix Snow says, longtime fan, libertarian. You have become very much a, I don't want to say that because they'll get in trouble, grow some and stop censoring yourself. It's really funny that they tried using, you know, it's not even a slur, but I'm not going to say it because, look, swearing isn't about getting banned. The reason I avoid swearing is one simple reason. It doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't help me convey any ideas. It actually can bog you down, right? So if you're looking for a like, do you think, how many New York Times articles have swears in them? They don't, because there's a professional standard. So if I want to uphold some kind of standard, I won't swear and I'll avoid using certain words. More importantly, there is an arrangement that the auction system of YouTube has with advertisers where you lose something like 40% of your ad revenue to say those slurs. And it sounds to me like there's no real reason to swear at all unless you want to lose money. So I certainly avoid saying things because I try to maintain basic standards, and it's just, it's like, why would I want to risk the success of my business to say words, like to say swear words? You can disagree with me by all means, I don't know, whatever. Andrew Levin says, can't watch now, gotta go to Christmas Eve service. Happy Christmas, Tim. God bless. Would be fascinated to hear your thoughts on God faith. Just jumped me again. I would love to talk about God. I actually would like to do like a sit down with like some religious people and talk about God and stuff, because I do believe in God, but I don't believe in like Abrahamic theistic God types. The way I describe it to people is whatever you could possibly describe God as is beyond your comprehension. So you can call it a higher power. The universe is a higher power. Physics, reality, electrons, energy, they're all higher powers to an extent. The point is, I do think there's something well beyond our comprehension that exists, and I think it's silly that a lot of people try to ascribe, like, humanity to something beyond their comprehension. It just, to me, it doesn't... Whatever is out there is beyond what we can fathom. There's an interesting statement that I saw from a video. You build a superhighway next to an anthill, and those ants have no concept of what's happening with the superhighway, which means there could be things in the universe we just can't understand or perceive and will never understand. If an ant, and so think about this, like, too, do you think a dog knows what a superhighway is? No, a dog will generally understand what, like, the car moves, has no idea how it moves, and there are cars on the road. The dog will understand this road is here now. Like, dogs are relatively smart. But think about how similar a human is to a dog, like, in terms of evolution. Like, we're both mammals. We have a lot of similarities, 2 eyes, 2 ears. We have hair, you know, mammary glands. Now think about anything beyond humanity would be so ridiculously far removed that if a dog can't even understand how a basic computer works, why would we understand anything beyond our existence? Like, it's no, we wouldn't. So I think it's absolutely fair to say there's probably a massive greater power than we could ever imagine, and it's silly to try to think that we can understand what that is because it's just beyond our comprehension. Unless, of course, we're supreme beings or something. I don't know. It's a whole other debate. Nicole Lendman says it's going to take a lawsuit to force them to be fair. I don't think so. They don't have to be fair. You know, that's the thing. Anonymous says, I admire your work ethic. Very few can compare. Michael O says, Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, who will Democrats choose? Will identity politics kill their chances? Identity politics will damage their chances. I wouldn't say it would kill it. I think they're more likely to pick Kamala Harris because of that identitarianism. She posted some fake news not too long ago, and I'm really, really upset with her because I kind of liked Kamala Harris for a while. I'm like, hey, you know, I think she's all right. But then she posted some nonsense, and that's like, that's it. You lose me. But you saw what happened with David Pakman. Amy Siskin saying she won't vote for a white male. It's like, okay, that's like, that's not going to do anything for you. Meximan and Cheese says, have you thought of doing an Indiegogo or GoFundMe for your van? Maybe the future for your channels is an annual GoFundMe rather than monthly subs. You know, I thought about that a long time ago. And look, even without Patreon, I'm not broke, right? I used to work for Disney. It's just an issue of Patreon being the safety net to where I can guarantee income. That if something happens with YouTube, if I got demonetized, I know exactly what my minimum is. That's gone now. It's dramatically reduced. And so now the risk factor and the variability for my work goes up dramatically. And so, you know, basically, YouTube's always been risky. If, like, I once had, like, every video demonetized and I made basically no money. Then Patreon, I'm like, oh man, I'll do a Patreon. That way, even if the demonetization happens, I have the solid baseline where I know I'll be okay. That's mostly gone at this point. Most of it's gone. A lot of people do move over to PayPal on my, you know, timcast.com/donate, so I do appreciate that. But because Subscribestar has been frozen, that's down. I'll say this though: Subscribestar has been able to pay me out. I would say I believe Subscribestar is able to pay out right now. I didn't get a full payout because I requested a partial payout, and they said they took care of me in that regard. But I do believe that the payouts are fine. And I'll say this: if Subscribestar gets a pay processor working, I will actually have more subscription money because you can clearly see it on my Subscribestar channel. It is over 5,000. And I think it's only a little bit actually, okay. It's a little bit below where Patreon was with the loss, but I've gained people on PayPal as well. Admittedly, not that many. I think it might be like a couple, maybe like 100 people, or like 84 or 5 people. So right now, I'm down a lot. If Subscribestar restarts and starts taking donations again, I think I'm down just a teeny bit. So that's good. Right now, my frustration is Subscribestar's frozen, and as far as I know, my risk factor is really high right now. So it's, hey, look, I'm never going to be homeless. It's not going to impact the videos I'm doing. It may impact my ability to do the van in the long run, but I think it'll be fine. It's just generally, you know, Patreon damaging my business, insulting my supporters, and causing this ripple effect that negatively impacts people, and a violation of principles. There's a lot to it. It's complicated. Freddie the Eddie says, take my shekels and buy yourself some more beanies this Christmas, but you didn't give me shekels. You gave me $5. That's USD. Shekels, I believe, are the currency of Israel. Supa Bam Bam says, could you elaborate as to why you don't want to run for office, if you're willing, of course? Because everybody likes to make the joke that the honest, straight talker is going to win. No, Trump won because Trump had a powerful data analytics company telling him how he should play the game. That's it. That's Cambridge Analytica. They were smart, crafty people. They were behind, I believe they were behind Brexit as well. All right? All of these companies are trying to figure out what to say and how to say it. And I'll tell you what, man. You think, if you like my videos, right, and you think I'm being honest, then look at all of the far left people who lie and smear me. Look at this. The New York Times published a video that shows the Proud Boys actually jog up to Antifa before the bottle is thrown, okay? Any reasonable person would say the Proud Boys initiated the fight by running at, I don't want to say run because it's like, you know, people are going to get mad, but he like jogs up and then starts wailing on the Antifa guy, and the Antifa guy doesn't fight back. He just cowers. All right, sorry. At first, we saw the dude throw the bottle and we thought Antifa started it. New evidence shows the Proud Boys were actually engaging Antifa first. That changes everything. And what happens? 50% of people watching the video, or I'm sorry, of the thumbs up and thumbs down, are accusing me of posting fake news and lying about what happened. Okay? If you think I'm being honest and you're going to say I'm lying when I show a video, why would I want to run for office? Okay? I can be honest about everything. I can be like, you know what, man, here's exactly why the government's doing it, and they're just going to get mad at you no matter what you do unless you tell them what they want to hear. Why would I ever want to be in politics? No way. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to retire once this gets crazy. I'm going to take my van out to the woods, and I'm going to park it by the lake with a dog, and I'm going to sit back and just stare up at the sky late at night, and I'm going to read some books, and I'm going to forget all the craziness. But for the time being, this is what I enjoy doing. So until it gets untenable, until the situation gets absolutely ridiculous or the culture war becomes a full-on civil war, this is what I'll be doing. But at that point, I'm gone. I'm out. Everybody's getting crazy, and I don't have anything to do with it, you know. Gilded Link says, Naomi Wu decided to start her own Patreon alternative in response to Subscribestar, Esther.co. Don't know if it's susceptible to pressure by pay processor. Well, if she's based in China, then I think, yes. Like, they're worse. Daniel Korka says, Merry Christmas. Thanks for the super chat. Kika Gazumi says, please keep up the live event streams. They are great to see events when they happen on the ground, even if you have to upload them later. That's the point of the van. I think the van's going to basically keep us... I'll be on the ground 24/7. And I'm going to try and do a daily vlog, right? So the goal would be... Well, we'll see what happens, right? I think it's really ambitious to say daily vlog because right now I wake up at about 6:45 a.m., I exercise, then I do my morning routine, you know, contacts, shower, all that stuff. Then I start reading news and preparing a story, which I get done by like around 1. Then I record 4 videos, which I get done by about like 3:45. Then at 4, I upload to the podcast and I do the search engine optimization. And so I'm officially done by like 4:30. So that means I have a potential for a vlog after that, but I'll probably need an editor. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. You know, I'm not going to start full swing. It's going to be a slow build up. We'll see how it works. Really Good Chef says, I heard Hillary is controlling Patreon, Purple Monkey Dishwasher. Yeah, right. Just jumped me again. Man, I can't keep up with this. Jangalee's Massive, thanks for the super chat, says Merry Christmas. Kika Gazumi says, it's informative to watch live events from the ground and great to share with friends when it comes up in conversation. Yeah, I agree. Taylor says, do you really think Rubin and Peterson will be able to pull off a Patreon alternative? This all smells like it's the PayPal Visa MC MasterCard that is pushing this. Why else Subscribestar cut off so fast? It may be. I don't know what Rubin and Peterson have in mind, but apparently they've been working on it, or at least Peterson's been working on it for a long time. So it's possible that they do have something. I have been talking with some fintech people, financial technology people, because I believe that I do have a solution using crypto and clever workarounds that would bypass, basically create a platform that literally cannot deplatform people, right? Essentially, that's what Bitcoin is. Integrate that into a system. There's bitbacker.io, but the problem with that is you can't expect regular people to know how to buy and transfer cryptocurrency. It's too complicated. You need one-click solutions for the average person because the world operates on the US dollar, not on crypto. So there are solutions I've been talking about, but I don't think it's something I'll engage in, but maybe Peterson will. Anonymous says, Always Sunny in Philadelphia is a great comedy to chill to, like Futurama and American Dad. It streams on Hulu. I haven't watched it in a long time, but yeah, it is good. Helix Snow says, Tim, I had to. Google wouldn't let me send it unless I changed it. Anyways, you used to swear. I did. And then a video came out where, I can't remember which network did this, but they took like thousands of videos and they compared ad rates with videos that had swears in them and videos that didn't. And on comparable videos with views, it was like a 40% reduction. So why would I negatively impact the content I create and my ability to make more and expand simply to say naughty words? Like, if I have to say a word, I will. I still swear sometimes. Sometimes in stories, but usually I don't. I try to avoid it. There's just no reason to do it. Justin Four says, Merry Christmas, Tim. I hope you get all your Patreon revenue back. Well, look, it's people who choose to give me the money. You don't have to. So if it comes back, it does. The Dark Wolf says, hey, Tim, here's a little money to help. Appreciate it. Epic Joe P says, Merry Christmas, Tim. Keep up the good fight and spreading the truth. You know, to the best of my abilities, I don't think I'm right all the time. I certainly think I'm wrong. Sometimes. 21 Vicroy says, BFV critics dislike portrayal of women in World War II. Battlefield 5. I read some on Wiki, and good God, they could have done so much. Baker artist oligopolies should have regulated a little, not something in pure competition. Rule of Star says, Wrangler Star made his own van. Take a look. Oh, yeah, I'll hit him up. Sandwich. That says Huff 10,000. That sounds amazing. I don't know what Huff is. It's HUF. That's the currency in 10,000. That looks like a lot of money. I appreciate it. He said, here's some Skrilla for your van. I don't know what that is. What is HUF? What currency is that? Gochi says, love your vids, Tim. You've expressed interest in music submissions in the past. If that's still true, what style do you prefer? Electronic punk? Listen to the song that I use in every video when the thing kicks off. It's like... No, how do I describe it? There's like a clean style of like hip-hop, ambient, dance, electro, indie rock kind of stuff that flows really well that I use. So I don't know. BD Player says, Tim, have you heard of Revolut? Now they are a bank and they can't refuse business the same way as PayPal. Oh, interesting. Exploding Prinny says, Tim, first-time caller, long-time listener. Did you enjoy Kevin Spacey's video today? Oh my God, Kevin Spacey's video. I was, oh my God. I cringed several times because it's creepy. All right, it's creepy because we know he's addressing accusations against him in real life with the character of Frank Underwood. It's also cringy because it feels like his desperate plea to rally his fans to get him his job back and maybe come up with like a last season of House of Cards where Frank Underwood rises from the grave, or in fact, you never did see him die, did you? That was a weird video. I gotta say though, Kevin Spacey is really, really good at what he does. But with these accusations and charges against him, it's really creepy and freaks me out. James also said, good guy Timmy who never assumed the worst of people. Here lies his Patreon money, $5,000 a month gone forever. Here, go buy yourself a coffee, press F. I do tend to assume the best of people. It's true. Adam Brooks says, will you post a video about Julian Von Abel? I don't know who that is. Super Bam Bam says, hey Tim, I did support you on Patreon, but I'd rather support you on here or elsewhere. Hope this helps your van project and your dream to escape to the woods. Appreciate it. All right. Someone said 10K Huff equals $35. Does it? $35 USD. But what is HUF? What currency is that? I'm trying to look into the comments to see what people are saying. Hungary! Ah, is that it? Is that Hungary? Hungarian currency? Hey, that's cool. Appreciate it. Hungary is there's crazy stuff happening right now. In Hungary, they have like the slave law or something. But here's the thing. I commented on the article. I've got one more. I went through all the super chats, and now I save the best for last. For those that have made it this far, we're not done yet. Scott Helme on Twitter. He is a hacker, researcher, builder of things. He founded @SecurityHeaders and Reporturi, Pluralsight author, BBC hacker in residence, award-winning entrepreneur. He tweeted, Patreon suspended my account. They did this in secret. They have not notified me. I simply noticed they stopped sending me money. He doesn't have the biggest account in the world. But isn't this interesting? He said, they haven't stopped collecting my money. They're just keeping it. No account notification, no email. I just have this tiny little message hidden in the account section on the site. Your creator balance, your creator balance is on hold while our trust and safety team review your account. That's it. He said, what an awful way to treat people. They can still send me their crappy newsletter, but letting me know that I've been suspended and my money won't be arriving right before the holidays, that's some next level S. He says, this is where the Lear More link goes. And it says, while your page is being reviewed, you can continue all normal activity on Patreon except for paying out your creator balance. Interesting, huh? There was a period at the end of 2016 where they stopped sending me money. My Patreon only had a couple $100 at the time, and I wasn't really paying attention to it. So after like 3 months, I was checking my bank account because it was going to my savings, because I was assuming that it was going to my account. And then I looked, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, Patreon stopped paying me. No reason. I had no notification. They just stopped paying me, and I don't know why. When I contacted them, they said, oh, just try reconnecting your bank account. Maybe something changed. And I was like, no, nothing changed. And so I re-entered my bank details. Then it put my account on like a hold for a few days, and then they pay out all the money they owed me. And I found it very strange. Very strange for one reason. Imagine if there are many small accounts that are bringing in something like $20 to $100 who don't post that often and maybe don't realize their money stopped coming in. And that money is sitting in the account of Patreon. That's shady. And you can call it an error, but I changed nothing. I didn't change my bank details. Nothing had changed on my end. They just stopped paying me and never told me, okay? But that, I assumed it was a bug, you know? I assumed it was a bug. Scott says, I don't know how they detected the suspicious activity, but it was enough for them to take action, but not enough for them to tell me. The suspension came between 18 and 47 days ago based on my missed payouts. No review has taken place in that time. He said, so Patreon, when can I expect this review to take place? How do I find out why I was suspended? When will I receive my money? He said, oh, hey, look, I just got a new patron. Thanks for that. But Patreon didn't tell me that I'm currently suspended and I won't get the money. Nor did they tell the person who just decided to pledge. This is seriously bad. Yup. Someone asked him if he spoke up for Milo and Sargon when it happened to them. If you did, I admire you. If not, well, you should have listened to the people. Either way, I'm sorry to hear. But remember, if it happens to others, you may not like it. It may happen to you as well. Someone said, I doubt either of them are in Scott's circle of people to care about. Not sure that's relevant. And he posted a finger pointing up. This guy's a hacker from the UK. He doesn't know anything about this. They've frozen his money. They're still taking his money. They're still accepting new patrons, and they stopped paying him out between 18 and 47 days ago. So here's the thing. I am exhausted, and I'm about to lose the ability to speak. So I'm gonna wrap it up right now. If you want to support my work, you can go to timcast.com/donate. You can subscribe here or my second channel, youtube.com/timcastnews. It's in the description below. There's also a link to my Discord server where people hang out and talk about stuff all the time, nonstop. Super chats are always welcome. I really appreciate it. My throat is about to go. I need to drink some water, and I'm about to pass out. So thanks for hanging out, everybody, and listening to me once again be angry on the internet. And these streams will come periodically. I'm going to try to do a... Oh, man, New Year's is soon. I'm going to try and do a private members-only live stream. It's going to be for people on Patreon. I'm going to try and send out an email through PayPal. I think I can pull an email list and do this too. So it'll be a private stream that will go out to only people who are channel members, PayPal, or still on Patreon. And I don't know if I can do Subscribe Star. I might be able to. And then it'll be the same thing, but it'll be like a shorter like Q&A session specifically. So that's the plan. But yeah, I don't know. I gotta get out of here. I'm beat. So I'll see you guys tomorrow at 4 p.m.